Everyone, good evening. Welcome back for Detox. Hi, Era. Hope everybody's had a nice day today. I realize that's perhaps not a possibility of the day as a whole. There's a lot going on these days, but at least parts of the day, I hope they've been good and they've treated you well. Hey, Andre, Sasha, good evening. Mm. Mm. All day with the mask, I know. I had a good part of the day. If you remember back during the initial lockdown and quarantine, I was working on a project at the house, a patio. I taught a class from the patio, a detox from the patio once it was getting done. But I had a few more things to do, and the studio opened, so I was spending most of my time here. And then in the last few days, since the studio classes have been canceled, I was able to finish up some final steps. So I got some stone today, finished off the edges, and it's completely done now. So that felt good. Yesterday I didn't mention this before we started the practice, but I went over to a place where you can do ice baths. So this is a tub with, I think it's like 38 to 40 degree water, and you plunge. And so what you do beforehand, and this is really the part that's intriguing to me, is the breath work. So you go through about 10 minutes of breath work. If you've ever looked up or seen anything, I think there is a Goop episode with Wim Hof, and they show the breath work, and then they actually jump into a lake, I believe. So, anyways, you do the breath work, which I did, and then you plunge. And at this place, this is a spot here in LA, so it's very very nice. It's not a lake; it's a controlled environment, but you can go for 3 to 6 minutes, and I just got into that zone of breath. You know, after the first 30 seconds or so, where your body is just trying to find the breath, you make it through that initial anxiety and stress that you're putting on the body, and then tap into that yoga breathing. So deep ujjayi breaths like we do in the vinyasa practice, and just close the eyes and settle into the stillness. You're all the way up to your chin. Your head's not under, and then you're just breathing. And it's really really interesting to feel and to observe what's going on through your mind. You know, it's you're sitting in this freezing cold water. So did that yesterday afternoon, and yeah, it was cool. I enjoyed it. Alberto, good evening. Hey, Christine. Okay, Sue, welcome back. Our detox crew, part two. Because really, I think we started detox, what, maybe 15 days or so into the initial quarantine. And then we continued the evening detox classes. And then once we opened the studio, which was on June 15th, then we stopped doing the detox and we switched over to the one live stream class a day. So we'll keep this going until studio classes come back, and I'll keep you all posted as we get more information on that. If you ever want to know or you want to reach out, feel free to send me an email, or on our Instagram you can ask me anything about the studio or what's going on. Hey, Roz. Nice. Hey, Jason. Hi, Erica. How'd you guys do this morning? Those of you that practice with Jessica and did a flow. How'd you guys do? How do you feel? Mm. Yeah, I would add and say that after the cold plunge, I was shaking. And what they were explaining to me is that afterwards you're shaking, and that's your fast twitch muscle fibers working to warm you up. So definitely shaking. And I think I was like, I wasn't freezing cold, but I could feel that chill in my body for a good 2.5, 3 hours, you know? So yeah, it was interesting. And she kept you on your toes. Okay, Sue, that's great. That's what I love about yoga. It's always keeping us on our toes. And Kimberly and the group that were um, helping us here at the studio and working when we opened, they were doing the noon class while I was live streaming it. I mentioned this several times. I was in the private studio, and then they would be in the main studio with the heat on. But the way that they were practicing was so cool, because we would basically just patch my voice from the private studio over the speakers into the main studio. So they had no visual at all. They weren't watching me on the screen. All they could do is rely on their sense of hearing, so that they can direct themselves through the practice. And that's the key when you take that leap in a guided experience where nobody's telling you what to do. You're in full direction within yourself with your breath. It's amplified. It's a really great practice of mindfulness and awareness. So that's what they were doing. And when we open, they'll do that, I'm sure, again. But it was really cool to see them step into that space. Revolve, nice. All right, so it's 7:30. If you guys have any props and blocks that you want to bring closer, or that you haven't grabbed yet, a pillow, folded blanket from your sofa, have that nearby. You just never know when you're going to use it. If you want a playlist, you can always go out to my Spotify account, Joe Space Komar, Komar, and you can hit play on any Detox playlist. They're all in the same realm of relaxation, some more instrumental than others. So, but you could pick on one of those if you want music, and stream it along. Start that now. And then we're going to go ahead and lie down onto our backs. Last night we started in child's pose in our Detox. Pretty much start every class, most of them in Shavasana, lying down, some of them in child's pose. So legs straight. Just realized when I was lying down that I'm sore from something. I'm not sure at what point made that happen, but I'm definitely feeling the abs in the back. And that's all you want to do when you lie down is, I really wasn't aware of that prior to, so observing what you are feeling, observing whatever's going on in your mind. Heck, if you didn't even want to do the physical part of this practice, if you just wanted to sit or have this on in the background, and let the words just filter into your ears. And pick up and realize that, hey, this is what people are doing right now. We could be doing so many things. And for those of us that are collected here, this is what we're doing right now. And so even if you couldn't, for example, make it to the physical part of the practice, but you could turn on the live stream at 10 or at 7:30 when you're driving home from work or driving from one point to another, and you just let the cadence of the practice hit your ears. Once you become familiar and you feel supported by an instructor's voice, just let the voice hit your ears. You allow all of that to work into your space. Again, it could just be listening. The 10 a.m., 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can turn that on, and when you can arrive on your mat and move through the practice all together, you do that. Make it a daily feature, if you will. Not a goal, not a task, not another to-do, but a daily feature in where you arrive and you show up in any way that you can. And not just related to your practice, but your mind will stop making excuses in life in general when you show up. And there's no telling what's going to happen or how it's going to go, but you'll find those excuses fall away when you simply show up. And take a few deeper breaths, feel your belly rise and fall. And as you soften the body, soften the muscles in the face. And we're going to start with the soles of the feet together tonight. Let your knees fall apart. And you're welcome to keep your arms down by your sides. The outer thighs get heavy. The inner thighs receive the stretch. And you can take your arms over your head. You can even put your hands underneath your head and cradle the head. And settle and relax the jaw once again. And the eyes and the area around the eyes. And letting go. And just feel as you lay back into this position tonight. One hip flexor could be a little bit tighter than the other. And perhaps you're more inclined to favor your dominant side. You lead with your dominance. And so the body takes on that patterning, shapes in regular activity. And so notice if that's the case, and then sit in the possibility of balance as you let gravity work it out. And our detox practice, the breath remains calm. And the longer we sit, and with patience, the practice can go deeper and deeper. And keep your arms where they are, please, and the shoulders and the head heavy. And for about 30 seconds, you're just going to lift your knees ever so slightly. So say the knees come back up, no more than 6 inches, and then hold them there for about 30 seconds. I'll let you know. You should feel the muscles in the inner thighs and the hip flexors engage moderately. Feel the next inhale, and then on the exhale, and let the knees get heavy again and fall down, and probably closer to the ground. So relax the inner thighs, and feel the knees spread, and then come closer to the mat. All right, feel your next breath. And slowly start to bring your knees back up towards each other. Into the hip flexors and the crease. Into the low back. Into the belly. Take one inhale. And a little sigh on your exhale. We're going to roll on to our left side in the fetal position, so you can adjust the bum over to the right. And then reach your left arm up. And come on to your left side. Rest your head into your bicep. And consider detox as you're waking up and relaxing at the same time. Sometimes things become a little bit more vivid through the mind. And you can say sometimes that would be an increase in intensity briefly as you work through something that may be hung up in conflict. But that's good. You have the space here and to see it and connect, observe, reflect. And watch it as it goes. Use your right hand onto the mat and then roll over onto your belly. And so we'll kick the legs out straight behind us. You move yourself back so you're centered on your mat. And then your elbows support the setup. And so your left arm goes behind your right elbow, sliding to the right. And then your right arm comes off to the left. And so your elbows, one in front of the other, are lined up through the midline of your body. And palms can face up. And now we want the chest over the arms. So tuck the toes. And then you can use the tuck of the toes and to lift and scoot the pelvis forward. So more of the torso is over your arms. And then untuck the toes and start to let the chest come down over the arms. You can feel this in your shoulders. You might feel this in your neck or across your upper back eventually. Make any little adjustments and to soften the hips. And then you can be here, let your head get heavy and settle anywhere it wants to. Belly really soft, head heavy, Hopefully you're drifting. I'll hold the time, you explore the space, and we'll stay for a little bit longer. And keep the belly soft and the hips heavy. And feel this release as you slide your left elbow out and then slide your right elbow out. We will make our way down onto the chest. And for the rebound, right cheek on the ground. And feel your shoulders as you let your arms come down by your sides. A neutral shoulder. And heavy, heavy heart tonight. And release the toes, relax the bum. In the back of the jaws, you rest in the side of your head. In this heaviness, take the deepest breath that you can. Push your belly into the ground. And then go ahead and exhale and release all the air from your lungs. You can turn your chin back onto your mat. And slide your elbows back underneath your shoulders. And we'll set up for the other side. So the only change is to take your right arm across behind your left elbow first. And so the opposite arm is on top, left hand to the right. Turn your palms to face up. And if you need it, tuck the toes, scoot your hips forward. And so you get more of your chest versus less. And folding in over your arms. And this is one posture. You do it today. And then you do it again 6 months from now, and you realize how much your body has changed. So No judgment, no opinion on where you feel it tonight, especially if it's one of your first times doing this. And the poses sometimes become markers that ingrain themselves in our minds. We never forget certain moments in our practice and what it felt like. And then that becomes a great opportunity and that you can use to reflect in the future as you progress and evolve through the state of your body and your mind. You should be feeling some of that space and the relaxation of your practice tonight. If you're not quite there, no worries. Continue to observe the breath as it's being taken. When you notice a part of your body that is tight, gripping, or clenched, as you become a body, observe a breath, you can watch it release. Head first a little. Start to slide your left elbow back. And so you can slide your right arm out. And come down onto the chest. Turn your left cheek onto the mat this time. And let your arms go down by your sides. Come slowly out of the rebound. Turn your chin back. Put your hands underneath your shoulders. And keep your head heavy. Use your belly so that you can come up onto all fours. It could feel good to keep your hands where they are and just take your hips back like halfway towards child's pose. And then move your hips forward. And so you're off that vertical plane from your knees to your hips, and then take your bum back a little bit towards child's pose, but not all the way there. And then forward. And come back to center and bring your knees together. What we're going to do is slide the right knee forward and keep the leg bent, and so the heel of the right foot is tucked underneath the bum. Crawl your left knee back on the mat, and so you're putting more space in between your knees. And my right foot is directly underneath the bum, so we're folding and bending the leg like an accordion into itself. And then you can set yourself up down onto your elbows so that the right side of your belly, for whatever reason, the sore part of the belly, can not only soften but release, and then with gravity can compress. And while we're in this pose, if you got something, use something to support your head, or use your own body's ability. Stack your palms, and we start to sit in it. Without the judgments of the past, we sit in it. As you remain in the position, take 3 deeper breaths and notice, watch, observe where those breaths go. And start to bring your head back up. And stay low to the ground as you're on your elbows, and then just rock off onto your right hip. You stay low, use your hands as you slide your left leg forward. And we're going to lie down onto your back for the rebound. And both legs straight. Your right hip crease is untucked. And the knee can release. And as you come out of your head and your shoulders, and your right leg might feel a little bit longer than your left leg. Instead, if you close the eyes, it might even feel like you're leaning to the right and gravitating towards the space and the openness of your body on that side. Kind of tricky sometimes if you close the eyes. You may even forget to feel right now where you're at. You may forget what direction you're facing in. And keep the eyes closed. Bring some light movements into your fingers, into your toes. And still eyes closed. Bend your legs so that your feet are flat. And then once again, we're going to roll on to your left side. And so staying on the left side, a bit of a calmer effect and result. We'll pause here in the fetal position. Let your head rest into your bicep. Ain't nothing wrong with resting and letting it all go as far as the attachment, stress, the physical, and sometimes demand of repetitious things that you're doing with your body. You remember, so many times you're not going to know that you had something to feel until you get into one of these positions. And then once you know, you can no longer deny. And the practice from doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Use your right hand. No rush as you make your way over to all fours. You can do the whole class, the whole detox with your eyes closed if you ever want to. And from here, just slide your left knee forward. And so we're folding into the leg like an accordion into itself. Crawl your right knee back or down your mat so there's more space in between your knees. And then you can come down onto your elbows, sore part of your belly perhaps. And comes down onto your thigh. Make any little adjustments and so that you can feel balanced in the release, which just basically means you're not tipping over to one side or the other. And begin to settle. Without pulling it in tighter or pushing it away, observe whatever it is that's on your mind right now. But you can simply observe it again without pulling it in, trying to do anything with what information or sounds or visualizations you may see. And there could be some interesting things happening when you fall into some of these wider phases of stillness and silence. And you're okay. Stay with it. And take a breath. You can begin to hover your head and stay as low to the ground as you can. And as we rock off onto your left hip, and slide your right leg forward, bring it all the way around in front of your body, and then you can make your way onto your back. And rebound in Shavasana as we feel the release into the left hip crease. Feel that kink come out of the hip. And leg a little longer. Belly. Chest, the expression on your face a bit softer. And go ahead and find yourself in Shavasana tonight. Feel a deep breath and the rise of your belly. And then a little sigh, exhale the air out of your mouth. You can move your fingers and your toes. And walk your feet back onto the mat so they're flat. And once you're here, take your left ankle to your right thigh so it's like figure 4. And then walk your right foot towards the right side edge of your mat. And we're going to keep that left ankle hooked. And then just roll the right knee down towards the left. And now, like we started, you could stay with your arms by your sides if you would like to. And take your hands back under your head. And cradle the head. You might feel that release a little bit more through your belly and the muscles in between your rib cage with your hands behind your head. It's very important that we allow ourselves to experience peace. And to remain humble in our approach when our body is hurting or aching or tight with the resistance of life. And to remind ourselves and that we should never give up. Even when we surrender to peace. We surrender an opinion, judgment. But never give up on following your path, following your heart. And feel a deeper breath, 2 or 3. If you're feeling pretty good, take your time. And then when you're ready, you can slowly switch sides by rolling your hips back square. And we kind of get the counter twist in the pelvis and the spine by just doing the same pose the opposite direction. And so left foot comes down, right ankle to your left thigh. Start with your arms by your sides as you walk your left foot over towards the left. And then you can just let that left knee fall towards the right. Ankle is hooked. See how that feels there first. You're welcome to relax the arms there, or if you want to feel a little bit more perhaps in through the sore belly, and take the hands behind your head. There's something to acknowledging the weight through the back of your head and your skull, and that when you pay more attention to it, it will soften the muscles and cross your face from your forehead all the way down to your chin. You can feel that you guys are getting really good and evolved in the stillness of the postures and the relaxation. At one time, you can probably remember when you came into your first detox and you were moving and fidgeting and really didn't seem to have the practice of stillness. And you could be sitting in the same amount, if not even more, and discomfort opening, remember, simultaneously awakening. And yet find yourself in a deeper space and connected to peace or acceptance. I can't necessarily describe in detail how this practice is going to be of benefit when you're back in the office or you find yourself out into the world doing things you used to do before, but I'd be more interested in you letting me know how you see or how you feel the difference after you've been practicing detox for a little while. And take it slow as you start to roll. And your left foot back onto the mat flat. As you come back to square, you can bring your right foot down onto the ground. And adjust your shoulders and your hips as you need to. And then like we started, let's come back with the soles of your feet together. And then let your knees fall apart. And let your hands come out from underneath your head. If you had them there, reach your arms over your head. And then you can just let the arms retreat and relax. So you're not gripping or strengthening at all through your shoulders. If you have something easy and within reach to cover your eyes, you're welcome to place that fabric over your eyes. You should be able to feel quite a bit of breath, and take one big Buddha belly breath. And slight hold, pause at the top of the inhale. And feel all that air as you filled up your lungs. Hold it for another 3, 2, and exhale. Go ahead and release all the air from your body. As you exhale, you can straighten your right leg out onto the mat. And then do the same with your left leg. You may notice a subtle vibration from your hips down through your legs, and feel the heels. And let's bring the arms down by your sides and take the weight out of the shoulders. The body fall into the ground. Notice that weight in the back of your head. Soften every muscle on your face. And welcome to your final resting pose tonight, Shavasana. And like I was saying at the beginning of the practice, it could just be the cadence. It could be that trusted resource of a voice, the reminder of slowing down, that builds that repetition within our own minds as we trust to be guided and to practice something new, and and to go through the changes in the moments of conflict, in the moments that aren't easy. And because we know underlining and through all of us in the human experience is a beautiful layer of peace. And so right now you have access to that layer unlike so many people on this planet. You're welcome to stay here as long as you like. You might even fall asleep here tonight, especially if it's a late one for you. So please take your time. Have a nice rest. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for practice. Namaste, everybody.